Good morning.
Good morning.
I swear to God, the bag is packed. I'm practically on
I
my
know.
holidays. I've even got the dog's little bag packed up.
Yeah, was anything more predictable than this was going to happen?
It's gas,
Um,
isn't it?
yeah. So, like, I mean, obviously, then we've had this with Jerry Hutch as well. You were on holidays when that happened.
Was
Um,
me.
yeah. So
I was
it's
on
just
holidays for the sanctions as well. It sounds as
that's
if I
right.
go on loads of holidays, doesn't it?
or
Maybe
else you're
that's the
getting,
problem.
or else you're getting tipped off at a very high level. You
Yeah,
know.
anyway, I'm not gone. I'm here.
Yeah.
And so we're just going to do a brief. We'll come back to this later, obviously, as there's more developments, and we'll do a more thorough podcast on it. But Sean McGovern is in the sky as we're speaking. In
Yeah.
actual fact, I think they're landing at Marseille at the moment, and then they'll take off, and he'll be home in Dublin by early evening.
Yeah, I mean, you can actually track it on these phone tracking apps. You can see as he flies through the sky, which was sent to me last night, and because the Air Corps plane, the number is there. Yeah, so it's big news. Obviously, this has been trucking along in the background for a long period of time. Sean McGovern went through a number of legal challenges. Um, it was probably expected. I mean, I think we obviously spoke about the fact that it was expected sometime towards the end of March, but inevitably, probably in many countries, there's been legal delays. But now it is a big moment. I think it's obviously the most senior person of the Kinahan cartel to come before the courts, but also just the fact that somebody of that level has been extradited from Dubai to Ireland is
First
huge news.
extradition, actually, from Dubai to Ireland
Well, there you go.
ever.
Yeah, I mean it's that in of itself would make it noteworthy. But I suppose Sean McGovern's role, of course, in the Kinahan cartel makes him a particularly noteworthy figure. But it also does it indicate the direction of travel in the future for people like Daniel Kinahan? I think it
Well,
probably
the
does.
McGovern was always going to be the test case, wasn't he? To see that this worked, that there wasn't some screw up as there has been with some others. That you all of a sudden see the Emirati authorities release somebody having arrested them. It happened with Gassanan, and he's back out, and deeply embarrassing when that happens as well politically. So yes, he's the test case, and I got those trackers last night on the phone as well. Do you think I could work out how to, you know,
How to do
modern
it?
journalism is to watch somebody flying across
Yeah,
the sea? Um, Little did Sean McGovern ever know that this would be his fate when all those years ago when he was living it up. But we'll get to that in a minute. I suppose the big question everyone has is how would Daniel Kinahan be feeling today? And I think you can safely say very, very, very worried. Um, the fact of the matter is, while McGovern, there was a warrant for his arrest all the way back in 2022. Kinahan is on those wanted posters, those US Treasury Department. There's a bounty on his head, his father and his brother Christopher Jr.'s €5 million for the information on them by the Americans. The file is still with the DPP. Here, uh, you know, considering heavy, heavy charges against him. And
yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
nothing's surer, but he is going to be following his best friend, his confidant, his number two, Sean McGovern, into a jail cell back here in Ireland.
yeah. I mean, I think. Look, I suppose Sean McGovern, he will have made a number of appeals, and we know that it went through the Dubai courts. Um, Obviously, those are secret hearings, so you don't have a court reporter writing it down. But we know that we have a good idea of the outline of what he will have appealed on. Number one will be that the charges don't match in the countries, and that he won't get a fair trial in Ireland. That all of these kind of routes. Now there's legal precedent if Daniel Kinahan was to try the same, and that's why it's regarded as a test case. With Daniel Kinahan, the DPP are awaiting to make a decision. Once they make a decision, if charges are brought against them, then he enters a whole other different category. At the moment, as you said, the US have offered this reward. He's clearly a person of interest for multiple police forces across the world. But once the Irish DPP, if they get to the point at which they decide to bring a charge, he won't be present in this country to be arrested, then they'll seek an international arrest warrant. And because he's not in Europe, it'll be an Interpol red notice, which Sean McGovern also had. And then that'll land on the Dubai authorities if he is charged with. Obviously, we've heard before that he's being investigated for the murder of Eddie Hutch, the brother of Jared Hutch. If he faces a murder charge on that case, there'll be very little legal restrictions because, one of the big disputes would be that, if a murder is a murder in Ireland and in Dubai, those charges match exactly. So yeah, he must be very, very nervous, and it does show that the long and very, very time-consuming work put by the guards, put by the government officials, the Irish government officials, to make this happen, it has worked, and they have to be congratulated on it.
And like the Special Criminal Court has such a kind of a large conviction rate, doesn't it? And it will be before the Special Criminal Court, the Sean McGovern will go. The case against Jerry Hutch, he was acquitted. That was like a strike of lightning.
It was.
And he pretty much was told by Justice Tara Burns in her judgment that he was lucky that the state only took one charge against him, that was murder, that she couldn't consider other charges like firearms, etc., etc. And yes, he had luck on his side, and obviously other things, the evidence of doubt all wasn't accepted, etc., etc. But I think he'd even admit himself there that, it was pretty much unheard of to walk free from that court. So the idea of it happening again in the next period of time, unless Sean McGovern has the most incredible defence, unless the Garda case isn't strong enough, and you'd imagine at this point that they have all their ducks in a row for this. So McGovern, how's he feeling? Like that's the end of, he has been in custody in Dubai for a period of time. He must have had great hopes that his friend Daniel Kinahan was going to pull the strings and get him out. He was attempting, obviously, lots of legal challenges against his extradition. Many others have won those legal challenges, and I am sure he had the best lawyers that money could buy. But he was really facing the power of the state, in this case, the political power of Ireland, and probably, in the end of the day, its friend, America. I was actually thinking there recently when Trump was handing the Emirates over their big golden ticket into the tech future. I was thinking, I wonder, what is going to happen here? How is this going to unfurl? Because, of course, the Emirates always like to have their reputation, and they like these sort of international friendships, and it's good for them. And obviously, there's a huge amount of money washing in there, and dirty money as well as clean money. And I was just wondering, gosh, in the time that we've wanted McGovern home, there's been Biden, and then who would probably be, you'd feel, a more reliable pair of hands. Not that the president is going over thinking of Sean McGovern, but, with Trump coming in, everything just seems so chaotic there. And even when the BBC documentary went out, you're listening to the DEA and the Americans kind of lean on all this, and you're just wondering with Trump, like, where would he? It's just no reliability with him to see this through.
Well, Trump has absolutely courted the Gulf states far more than Biden did. I mean, obviously, he's recently been in Saudi Arabia, where he met with the leadership there, who Biden had a much more troubled relationship with. So Trump has gone out of his way to bring these Gulf states, and has been, some of the issues the Democrats had, for example, the murder of a journalist by the Saudi state. Trump has not engaged with that. So he's attempted to bring these countries in. Now, we can speculate on his motives, including being offered jets and stuff like that.
Yes.
But I suppose if you look at it from the United Arab Emirates point of view, this gives them an opportunity to maybe become more entrenched in the world global community. Um, Obviously, dirty money played a huge role in the development of the United Arab Emirates as money washed in from Eastern Europe, from all over. But maybe they are less reliant on it and are looking now to clean up their act. Certainly, they have when people have been arrested, the Dubai authorities have really pushed this campaign, this public campaign that they're eliminating drug money and dodgy money from the country.
Mm.
So they really do want to be seen like that. Whether underneath it all they actually do is another matter. I mean, Sean McGovern will be sitting on a plane now. Um, if you look at it over the last, so 2025, I mean, he's had maybe 15 years of really dodging a bullet
Yeah.
when other people didn't. He was part of that Crumlin Drimna feud in the early 2010s, where he would have had many people who around him suffer, be killed, not least Declan Gavin, when, a close associate, when he was one of the people who was around that night when he was stabbed to death. Then he was in the Regency Hotel. Obviously, when his best friend David Byrne was killed, he narrowly escaped that as well, though suffered gunshot wounds, could have been killed, but survived. Obviously, then the Criminal Assets Bureau started looking at at him, and he managed to dodge all of that sort of investigation and get over to Dubai, where other people fell out of favor, like Liam Byrne, his former boss. And he got lucky again and fell even more in with Daniel Kinahan, if you consider that lucky. So he dodged a lot of,
Mm.
the things that his associates did, but his luck has run out. And what it seems from what the American government have said, the Treasury Department during the sanctions, and other things we have heard from Gardaí, is that Daniel Kinahan at some point, when McGovern landed in Dubai, became aware of the, I'm sure he was aware of it for a long time, but decided on a strategy that, when it came to the cocaine trafficking business, that he wasn't going to continue to deal with loads of people. He was really going to put that business through one man, Sean McGovern. Like Sean
Mm.
McGovern was going to. It's an old actually strategy from the American mafia, where you would have a mafia boss who would only speak to one guy under him, and
Mm.
that one guy under him would only speak to one or two guys, and therefore, that chain of evidence is much more difficult to develop. Now we saw that in the when Sean McGovern was sanctioned. He was one of 7 people sanctioned by the US government. That's what they laid out his role to be. He was the person, the point man for Daniel Kinahan, who would then disperse Daniel Kinahan's orders about the cocaine business, while Kinahan, certainly at that time, stayed involved in boxing and other seemingly legitimate industries.
McGovern really stepped up to Daniel Kinahan's side in the aftermath of the Regency. Something happened there that cemented their bond, and that Kinahan saw in McGovern a willing servant, and somebody that was capable of carrying that kind of role out. And what we do know is, after the Regency, of course, McGovern, was very loyal at that point to Liam Byrne, and had lost his best friend David Byrne. McGovern's almost like part of the Byrne family, a
Yeah,
defunct another member. He even lived within their same confines, where they all lived in Crumlin, because they did live all very, very close together. He would have grown up with the Byrne boys and Freddie Thompson and all the rest of them. He was a business partner of Liam Byrne's in that kind of shadowy car sales firm that was being used to launder the money and God knows what else. But he would have been always there with the Byrnes at every sort of an event, a family event. He was a business partner and a blood brother, really. But in the aftermath of the Regency, the Byrne organization and Bomber Kavanagh, they were really, targeted first and most ferociously by the authorities. And McGovern hung around really until the murder of Noel Duckhead Kerwin. He was in this country, and he appears to have been very quickly, the guy who was kind of, along with Daniel Kinahan, deciding who was going to live and who was going to die. And he sort of stood up to the mark and I think showed how trustworthy he was, how ruthless he was, and how useful he was to Kinahan. And he was awarded really in that safe passage to Dubai after he became a bit concerned, I think, that he was going to be arrested after the Duckhead Kerwin murder. And Noel Kerwin was a friend of the monks who had attended the funeral of Eddie Hutch alongside him. Um, it's been said repeatedly he had no involvement in criminality and was purely targeted because of that, because he had sort of supported him during his brother's funeral. It was particularly heinous, really, that shooting. He was, you know, we say easy target as if this is a game, and it's not a game. But he wasn't somebody that was on a guarded information message GIMP form. He didn't understand he was under threat. He was just going about his business. And I think he was shot in a car outside his home and died in his partner's arms, and must be something that will traumatize her for the rest of her life. But just very quickly after that, McGovern was welcomed into Dubai with open arms, and along with his lifelong partner, Anita Freeman, who also was there the night that Declan Gavin was killed. She was a witness to that murder. She was a teenage sweetheart of Sean McGovern, and she has been living in Dubai as well, within that sort of Kinahan inner circle family. The wives hang out, the men hang out, they do business, and they have enjoyed a lifestyle which is, so far beyond anything they could have ever dreamed of when they were teenagers growing up. Um, how does McGovern feel? Like, he's going to be 40 in February. He's young, isn't he? I think everyone's young that's under the age of 50 these days, but he is young. He's a young man. He's packed a lot into life, and he has, been responsible and been around a huge amount of death and, you know, immoral behavior, I suppose. But he is going from, the lifestyle he's going from into a prison cell. And by the way, I meant to say, you look as if you're in a prison cell.
Do I? Well, I'm not, but
You haven't
not yet
exactly
anyway.
shown the office in much
In its much glory.
glory. You found
No.
probably the worst corner to sit yourself. But yeah, but to go into a prison cell to face life imprisonment, obviously, and to be back down with the workers, which he will be, because that's what the prison is full of: the workers, the guys who took a fee to either go out and do a hit. Probably the guys that McGovern was one day directing at
Well,
one time.
I mean, if you look at the time he left to Dubai, he'd obviously been in the papers many times. He'd been in Sunday World many times and in other papers. But he comes back as his level of notoriety is absolutely on a whole other level.
Yeah.
When he lands again, he is international news. His picture has been put up by the American government. He's coming back into a whole other world. He has been described by Interpol in terms of one of Ireland's most wanted fugitives. So he's going to come back. There will be high security operations. Sean McGovern, I think, could have walked down a street in Dublin just before he left to Dubai and would not have been recognised by many people. That's going to be totally different. He's going to come into a prison system, while he does have some very minor convictions, he doesn't have anything particularly significant. So won't have spent much time at all behind bars. He's going to become, I would imagine, certainly for the moment, the most high security prisoner in the prison system. He will land, obviously, in Dublin, and then he will be transported.
So yeah, I was sort of a little bit distracted yesterday when all this was happening. But are they landing him into Baldonnel in the same way they did the monk?
Yeah, I would imagine so. Now, they don't obviously release these sort of details for obvious reasons, so we don't fully know. But the standard protocol would be that somebody is landed, there'd be high security around them. It wouldn't be photographers allowed in to take a perp walk picture like they would in America. So he'd be landed and then brought, I would imagine, to the Special Criminal Court.
Yeah, he will be brought
Pretty,
straight there. He'll be officially charged.
yeah. So I mean, in the case of a lot of prisoners, they might hold somebody for a day or two, but I'd imagine it'd be pretty quickly. They'll get a special sitting. They know he's coming, and he will be charged, which would be a very limited court hearing where you'll hear the specific charge, and he'll be asked to confirm his name, and then he will be placed in a remand cell. Now, not normally people that are remanded in Dublin would probably be sent to Clover Hill prison, which is a remand prison for people who are awaiting trial. I imagine other security arrangements will be made for Sean McGovern, and he'd probably be brought. He'd probably be brought to Portlaoise, I would imagine.
Yeah, and given the speed of some of the other cases that have come up, we'll probably be looking at a trial next year.
We probably will.
Yeah.
Obviously, there'll be discovery, all of that. You'll have defence, so it can take a bit longer. But yeah, I imagine it will be held. It'll be
And
pretty
it was
quick.
amazing that next February, which will be Sean McGovern's 40th birthday, is also going to be 10 years since the Regency, since, there was life before and after the Regency when it comes to the world of a crime correspondent.
Yeah.
It was just such a significant event, and you can place everything like that. But yeah, it'll be 10 years in the making.
Yeah.
He obviously was there that day. He got shot. He refused to cooperate with the police. And then he bedded down to make a career and to go up the career ladder for himself within the Kinahan cartel. He saw opportunities, from that and out of that.
It'll be fascinating to see what evidence that is brought by the state against them. We do have a sense of some of it, you can be sure that Sean McGovern was hands off any operation to a degree. But it'll be fascinating to see what digital communications, if all of that plays a role. It'll be really interesting.
Well, listen, we'll come back to this, and hopefully you'll talk to maybe
it may
Ken Foy later or something. But let's regroup on this tomorrow after he has been before the courts, and we'll delve a little deeper into his background and maybe profile who he is and how he went from a street dealer to this.
Very good.
Right, get out of that cell.
What is? I can't even see it, but yeah. I'll next time I'll make sure there's a decent backdrop.
Just even put a poster on the wall, it's just soulless.
Okay, I'll put my Nicola Talent poster on the wall for the next time.
Right, talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
I'm Nicola Talent, and you're watching Crime World, a podcast about criminals, drugs and the underworld in Ireland and across the globe. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you can be the first to watch all our latest episodes. You can also listen wherever you get your podcasts.